L-R.
Obamacare. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Stupid people are ruining America.
The president just wants to take care of you. He just doesn't think you're able to do it for yourself.
There's a very thin line between communism, progressivism, Marxism, socialism.
The empire will strike back.
You still don't know that this was political.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of America Our Way. I am your host, Dustin Hoyt. I hope you've all had a great week. I hope Obama didn't bore you to death with his State of the Union speech. I know a great many of you were saying that you weren't going to bother watching it, listening to it, etc. I don't blame you. It was a lot of time to wrap up in something you may or may not care about. And I get it. I'm there with you. However, I feel it is my job as a host of a show here, and as someone you folks listen to babble for hours every week, or at least 1 hour, maybe twice if you listen twice. That'd be great if you want to do that. But I feel like it's my responsibility to bring you a little bit of what went on, and by a little bit I mean I'm going to ramble and get angry at things, because that seems to be what you folks like best. So let's do that here on Vigilant Liberty Radio on this Thursday night. So basically, the big over-encompassing theme of this snooze fest was, I'm great, and I'm going to do what I'm going to do. Now, in the past, presidents have given speeches about, let's get along, we're going to work together to improve the country, congratulations on winning, that sort of thing. But that's not what we saw from the president. The president said, I'm great, the country's great because I'm great, and I want to do X, Y, and Z, so you should probably get on that. And if you try to do these other things that I don't like, I'm going to veto them. And that pretty much sums up the State of the Union. I hope you enjoyed listening to the show tonight. No, but I mean, it's the whole thing was just kind of jarring, because when you see a president whose approval ratings have been dropping pretty steadily, I mean, I wouldn't say it's shockingly so, because a president's approval rating tends to drop after year 6, during year 6, year 7. It is what it is, and that's just, I mean, that's how the political cycle works. What's interesting, though, is that most presidents understand that when Congress changes hands, they're not going to get anything done. And typically, the president has said, I'm going to try to work with you, we're going to govern the country like adults, you won, I'll respect you, blah, blah, blah. And then that's not necessarily the right thing to do in this situation. I mean, I'm kind of a shaker myself, so I like what the president did here in terms of a political move, but I'm not a fan of it as somebody who gives a crap about the country. So when he went out there and basically challenged the GOP and threw out this gauntlet in the form of all this free stuff he promised, or said he wanted, I should say. He didn't promise it. He said he wanted it. You can't help but feel a little irked by it, because you know what he's doing. The president is seizing on this whole government shutdown, obstructionist Republicans theme that Democrats have tried to put out for the longest time, saying, the House Democrats and Ted Cruz are all responsible for all the bad, and we can't do anything with them because they just muck everything up. And with the shutdown, we saw most people kind of seem to blame Republicans. And they're banking on that being their saving grace in 2016. Because what the president did here was say, I'm going to make you look like you're saying no. I am going to make you say no. I am going to make you look like a petulant child. That's my goal. If you think you can stop me, go for it. Say no. Or, better yet, give me what I want. So that's the strategy that the president appears to be employing in an event, in an attempt to push Republicans back and win back a Democrat majority, and hopefully, for him, a Democrat president in 2016. And I gotta say, I kind of think it's brilliant because, doing the same thing over and over again, presidents promising to be moderate and promising to work together, you appease a little, some of the people in the middle, but you do nothing for the base on either side. You help no one, and if you use if you use populist talking points like he did, talking about quote-unquote free education, community college, you're going to get a lot of people on board because when they hear that, they think it sounds great, usually because they don't know anything about economics, but it is what it is. You're not going to teach people basic economics overnight, unfortunately, and it's not required in schools to the level that it ought to be. And it's unfortunate, but as I said, it is what it is. And so the president came out swinging, saying, the economy is improving, jobs are going up, unemployment's going down, the gas is cheaper, etc., etc. And I don't know how many of you were keeping up with me on that day, but I did a lot of live tweeting and live posting on the good old Facebook, and it seemed to be a big hit. I had a lot of people send me stuff saying they really loved the hashtags and everything. So I'm going to go through a little bit of what I posted because I think I did a really great job kind of paraphrasing what the president said, because I don't want to sit here and reiterate things in a high-minded way, because quite frankly, it wasn't very high-minded of a speech. I think one of the CBS anchors or something said it. The president was swinging for the fences, and that's basically it. He's trying to push the Republicans well back behind the fence. So here we go. He says he ended the war, the economy's better, and Obamacare exists. And while he did quote-unquote end the combat mission, that doesn't mean that there's not troops in harm's way in the Middle East. There are advisors for Syria and Iraq, and they're planning on training rebels in Syria. And as far as the economy being better, they're not counting when they talk about the unemployment rate being down. There's all these people that are leaving the workforce, and they're not able to find jobs, and we're just ignoring those people, or at least half the country is when they quote this number. So, as he progressed, he said, I'm going to send you a common sense budget. And quite frankly, the president has yet to send a budget on time. He usually gets his March Madness brackets out before he gets a budget out. And his budgets are usually nonsensical. And what's really funny is, as the president kind of bantered around a bit on what he wanted, it was clear that he was very serious about spending lots and lots and lots of extra money, and without any real way to raise it. There was one interesting thing about community college, but we'll get into that later. As far as the budgeting goes, the president is going to refuse the strong budget that ends up coming out of the Republican Party, because you're going to have a heavy hand in defense spending. You're going to see an increase, and you're going to see decreases across the board in a lot of Democrat-favored areas. You're going to see maybe some welfare decreases, some other programs go down, and that sort of thing, and the president's going to fight that. His plan's going to have the opposite, and they're going to bicker and blah, 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 blah. And then he told some story time nonsense anecdote where, I met this lady and she turned her life around thanks to the Obamacare, and her family's covered and that's great, da 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 da. Just completely glazing over the fact that all Obamacare did was force people to buy insurance. And granted, there were some low-income people that were able to get it for free, but the vast majority of the country got screwed on Obamacare. So, all fun and games there. Now, he did go. If we go through and we look at some of the stuff he talked about in the economy, he was saying, more than half of manufacturing executives have said they're actively looking to bring jobs back from China. A survey showed that they're expressing interest, but are not actively looking. And expressing interest means nothing. So it's crazy. And Obama also said the U.S. is the only advanced country on Earth that doesn't guarantee paid sick leave. Canada and Japan also don't mandate paid short-term sick leave, which is what Obama is looking for in the U.S. So he made a lot of claims, and I'm looking at a USA Today article. They did a really great job of fact-checking the president on everything. The president boasted that the U.S. has gained 11 million private sector jobs in 5 years. That ignores the first 13 months in office and a net loss of public sector jobs. Total employment growth during his time in office is about 6.4 million. Now, quite frankly, I am very happy with public sector job shrinking because, quite frankly, the president is losing public sector jobs is a good thing. I don't want more people dependent on government. He also said more people are insured than ever. Well, that's what happens when you make it illegal to be uninsured. The president delivered his State of the Union. Blah, 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 blah. Now, these manufacturing jobs he was talking about, let's be real. As long as American workers are paid as much as they are, the manufacturing jobs are not going to be rushing back in. It's just not going to happen. And, reasonably so. When you've got people that are willing to do manual, menial labor for less than an American worker, and, American workers are overwhelmingly being pushed out due to automation, it's just the way it goes. And, Americans are great at inventing machines to do the jobs in a factory that people are paid too much to do. And, more jobs are created to maintain and build those machines. But, he boasted what he boasted, and it is what it is. I've seen a lot of people coming out quoting GDP numbers, and many of them have been very skewed one direction, obviously towards the president. One such graphic I've seen, I'm trying to pull it up here so I can read you the numbers directly off of it. They talked about the Dow Jones being up by like 10,000 points when the president took office, and I checked those numbers. They said it was 7,900 when Obama took office, and it's 17,830 today. Now, on January 2nd, 2008, the Dow Jones was at 13,000, not 7,900. So that is a flat-out example.